Roblox Doors, ever since it was first released on August 10th, 2022, always featured entities and monsters as the main mechanics during the game. And they've also added in new monsters in the game in the past as well, such as Shadow and Guiding Light merely a day after its release. And especially with one of our latest leaks being covered up spawning theories, many people are excited about new monsters coming into the game. Well, we'll be going over the most popular new monster concepts for Roblox Doors within the community. Comment some of your entity ideas down below and let's get spooky in here. Everybody already knows about the super popular concepts such as depth, silence, and greed. They were showcased on a very popular Floor 2 fan-made game that was since taken down by the developers for using assets straight from Doors. These monsters have been talked about a lot already, but these newer monsters should be very interesting to talk about. First of which, we'll talk about the entity named Shriek. Truly an oddity when it comes to entities, Shriek has a very high piercing scream when he is spawned into the game. His body distorts at high frequencies just like Ambush, as it is very sensitive to the atmosphere it is in. From its large teeth to his shiny eyes, Shriek is ready to pounce on any target that he sees. Shriek would behave nearly identical to Rush or Depth, but there would be a 5% chance of it spawning in when a person types in the chat and makes a sound. This would entice players to play quietly and communicate in other means in order to work together, and it would be a good way to get rid of those hackers that use messages to exploit as well. You can hide from them inside vents and closets, that all works too, which is nice. Next up, we do have yet another cool entity, and the name of this one would be called Hurdle, which is a mockery of Hurdle. The design of this one is pretty similar to Halt, with those same eyes and possibly color, but his mouth does look very scary as they contain multiple rows of sharp teeth going even deeper. His sound also sounds like a hurricane coming through, which is an interesting touch. Though the design is like this, it is not how the entity would look like in the game. Hurdle would instead work similar to Halt, as players would theoretically have to go through the entity and time their jumps in order to get over the teeth spikes on the floor and on the walls, as the whole entire room rotates side to side, causing massive illusion and confusion. Each time the player hits the spikes, they would lose a third of their health, and the closer that you get to the finish, the faster the teeth spikes would spawn, making it even harder. Once you beat Hurdle, he will simply disappear, and the room would be turned back to normal again in a bluish hue, just like Halt's, which is nice for looting. Very cool mechanic for such an interesting design for an entity. But yet another cool monster concept would be this one called Strike. This one has a very creepy design that is similar to Ambush, but with big gaping black eyes and razor sharp diamond teeth all around with pearls built in. It kind of sounds like a fast and high-pitched lawnmower, but the background screams does make it sound a bit scarier as it gets closer. As the name implies, Strike would give all players a mere 3-second countdown with the rattle sound effect in place, giving players time to find a relatively good hiding spot before attacking the whole entire room from above. Good hiding spots do include closets and vents, but you can also try and run into the next room or hide underneath a desk and a bed to prevent from getting attacked as well. The room will turn gray for a brief moment before the entity attacks, and if you're caught by them, it is an instant death, unfortunately. But instead of just 2D entities, why not we step it up with some 3D ones just like Figure? Introducing the entity called Devour, a very skinny monster that looks like a deep water anglerfish featuring 2 sets of sharp teeth, a skinny body with skinny legs, and a glowing blue lantern above its head. Though its legs do look pretty funny and cartoonish, they are used to patrol around the area and hunt down players. This entity would work very well, especially in a dark room setting such as a cave, since the light can help it see in the darkest of rooms. Also, don't let it catch you or else this would happen. Yeah, I wouldn't want to get eaten by that. That would be bad news. But this one is freaking weird. Yeah, meet the 3D model of Stare. We have seen an older version of Stare in the Floor 2 fan-made game, but this model was very well made considering how it floats with many eyes, tentacles, and a glowing light from underneath that kind of looks like Figure's mouth and sharp teeth. God, that just looks lifelike, man. And as for the sound, well, that's up for you to decide. As the name implies though, you must stare at this entity at all times when he appears, or else he will sneak up on you and attack you, taking 25% of your total health away. He can last as many as several rooms, and he does have an attack growl if it comes to that. Yeah, man, the sound of evil. I guess we have no choice but to look at this monstrosity in order to survive. Back to the 2D entities for a bit again. This time we do have the entity simply called Rage. Design-wise, he does look pretty interesting as it's a white and red face with big black holes for the eyes and mouth. But one of the eyes has a giant glint shine on it. It also sounds similar to Rush with that eagle-like glitchy effect and a red glow on the ground. Now with the sound of Rush, it makes me think that Rage would behave similarly to Ambush, but instead of going back and forth at the same fast speed, he would go back and forth 3 to 6 times, but gets mad each time he doesn't catch any players, and goes even faster in future pass advances. If they ended up catching someone on one of its passes, it will disappear right there and then as he is content, but if not, then you're in for a really bad time. Or how about this one? Meet Cower the entity, featuring a white head with 2 eyes crying black liquid and a purple hazy glow. Cower is a very silent entity that doesn't like making sounds. He only spawns around players who are AFK for around 10 seconds, not making a sound, as he circles around the player multiple times, picking away at its health slowly but steadily until the player eventually dies. If the player moves even a tiny bit while Cower is around, he will go away, but this will be a great way to deal with players simply standing around and not contributing to the team other than having to deal with glitch. Note, this entity would only spawn in multiplayer games with at least 2 players, not in solo games in case you wanted to check something out like a painting or something. But what are your ideas for some new monsters and entities for Roblox stores? Let's share some down below, and goodbye.